Okay, we're live.
All right. So, welcome to another episode of Snack Time. This week it is just me and Andrew here.
Yes.
Henry is out of town.
Away on business.
He is away on business. So this time we're going to check out, Andrew, what are we playing?
Luftrausers.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what is going on with this game?
This is the new game from Vlambeer. They're the guys that did Super Crate Box, Ridiculous Fishing, stuff like that. And it's basically you have this plane here, and you got to shoot down a bunch of other planes and boats and stuff, and see how long you can survive. And it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
So the game starts like immediately. You just jump right in, and then you're shooting planes. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Planes are being shot. I'm being shot, but I'll try not to be shot too much.
All right. That's your deep nuance strategy.
Yeah, don't get shot too much.
Okay.
And if you do, stop shooting so you can heal, and then don't get shot too much.
Everything in moderation, including being shot.
Yes.
Okay.
Including being shot and shooting if you need to heal.
So, like, what game is this game most like to you?
The review that I think went up today, I sort of compared it to stuff like Geometry Wars and Super Stardust HD and all that, but I don't know, it is in that same vein of this is a super arcade style action game where you just have to try to survive as long as possible, get as high a score as possible, and then there are some objectives you can complete along the way. I don't know. It's not like a twin stick shooter because you didn't.
I was gonna say it's got a little bit of a combat for the Atari 2600 vibe going on.
Yeah. That's definitely that. Yeah, there's that.
Which, if you're gonna make a game inspired by any Atari 2600 game, that's
the one. Yeah. I just blew up a big old boat. So it's a lot like that. Basically, I thought, actually, when I first heard about this game way back when, it's based on a Flash game, I believe, or a free game that's available on the web, that I've never actually played. I've been meaning to go back and actually check that out now that I've played this. But basically, I thought it was a twin-stick shooter at first. Oh god, I blew up. I did the thing I wasn't supposed to do. Okay, so I thought it was a twin-stick shooter at first, but getting into it, it's not, other than the fact that you're moving and shooting, it's not really, like, the controls are so different than that sort of thing. Like,
so you're saying it's not a twin stick?
Yes, exactly. You don't have to use the sticks at all, in fact.
Yeah.
I mostly use the D-pad for control, but basically you press up, and that's your boost, and then you use the other directions to kind of move. So you maneuver yourself by boosting and then letting go of the boost to do more different turns and whatnot, and kind of, it takes a little getting used to. It's kind of hard to explain. It's one of those things you really need to get your hand on first.
So what's going on with this customization stuff?
Yes. So basically, there are 3 sets of parts you can unlock. There are the weapon, the body, and then the engine itself. And basically, there are five different parts for each set, and you just kind of mix and match them. And there's even a randomization option if you want. And each different combination has its own name and everything. So they all kind of have, like, I would say maybe some more than others, but they all have their uses for specific things. Plus, each part has its own set of missions to go along with it. So if, let's say here, I have one here that says kill 8 boats in one combo using the missiles, and then there's also, body, kill 30 enemies firing non-stop, and then kill submarine at max combo. So these are all 3 different missions I can try to do, but if for whatever reason I can't do one of these missions with the other sets of parts, I can just switch them out and just focus on one mission or try to do as many as possible. It's not that complex, but it is addictive, because once you start using different parts to do different missions, you'll start to say, you'll start to see that this part has this use, and you might actually start using that more, or maybe you'll hate it and want to switch back to what you're used to. But it gets you using the different combinations, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do random here, because they're actually, the random options actually have their own missions too, so let's just try that, see how that goes.
Okay.
But, yeah, so that's the basic, it's pretty basic, but, like, it kind of has this really great feedback loop of, like, alright, I want to complete these missions, and to do that I need to actually use these parts I don't really use that often. And through that, I'm getting better using those parts, and maybe I'll use those other parts to complete other missions that I might have had trouble with. And it just keeps you coming back, trying new things, and eventually, hopefully, succeeding with some of your missions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of this game in a nutshell. It's just basic fun, but it's one of those things that I don't know. It's super addictive. It's like any kind of arcade style game that's done right. You just want to keep playing, even if you're not a high score guy. I'm not at all a score guy. I don't care about score, getting high scores in games like these. But the missions and stuff and the different ship parts just have me like coming back for more every time. I've lost entire afternoons to this game. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's a score chase game that isn't about. Like, that isn't purely, like, its fun is not purely derived from the score chasing.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
it can be. It
can be.
Kind of describes all of Lambeer games.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I think that's, like, if I were going to score chase, it would be in a game that's fun anyway.
Exactly.
And so, I think they're really good at it.
They're excellent at it. Have you played any, maybe besides this, have you played any of their games? Like Ridiculous Fishing, Super Crate Box?
I've played Ridiculous Fishing like the smallest amount.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of versions of Super Crate Box.
There are a lot of versions of the game, yeah.
Yeah. The most interesting one is they made one for, I don't know if you know the Winatron.
No, I did not know that.
There's this arcade machine thing that's like an indie game arcade machine that they built like in Winnipeg originally, and then there have been like copies of the Winatron. There's actually one in Durham, and they call it the Bulletron, because whatever. But the whole thing is that they're indie games on it. And some of them are just like things you've had before, but there is a special like 2-player Super Crate Box that's like exclusive to that machine that they made.
That's great.
I've played that a lot with people. Playing that game competitively is totally crazy. I don't know if they've actually ever released that in any form.
This is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah, but like the idea of like the race to get the box is the crate or whatever. Yeah, like that's really cool, because like you're trying to, it's a risk versus reward. You're trying to avoid things, but also like get there first. So it's really kind of fun.
Makes me wonder if a version of Luftrausers with co-op or some kind of competitive aspect outside of let's just see if we could beat my high score.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they could probably make it work. Yeah, I think it would be fun. But
I would like a co-op version of this someday, maybe.
Yeah,
I can see it happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game that kind of introduced me to them was Ridiculous Fishing, which came out around the same time I actually first got my iPhone. And I'm not a huge mobile game guy. I don't play a lot of stuff on iOS or Android or anything like that. But that game, for whatever reason, I kept coming back for more. Something about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think mobile games work best when they're designed specifically for that purpose, and but also like by people who make good games as opposed to Skinner boxes. So yeah, it was really cool with that.
And speaking of portable games, this game on Vita this game on PS3 is really good, but probably the Vita version, which is something I never think I would say. But the Vita version of this game might be the best version, because it's kind of perfect for that kind of that pick up and play for a few minutes, 20 minutes, and then put it down and go to something else.
I mean, also like that screen's gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this game looks really nice. It's got a great style. You can actually change the visuals if you want, but like kind of the color palette and whatnot. But I really like the default. It's really cool.
Yeah, cool. But yeah,
so sweet. I completed the mission. High five. So, and then I died. Anyway, yeah.
That's what happens when you take both hands off the controller and high-five yourself.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I was just so excited, though.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of stuff has been happening since the last time we had
Man.
an episode.
Tell me about it.
So, where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about first?
I haven't been able to stop thinking about the news from yesterday, just because I still don't really know what to make of it.
Okay.
People have so many different ideas of what it could result in a year or more, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Everyone should know what I'm talking about, I hope.
Yeah, to be clear, especially since anybody watching the archive may not know exactly what day
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we're talking about Facebook buying Oculus.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a lot of opinions about.
I don't either, but it's so crazy.
I mean, it was out of left field, but when you start thinking about it, of course, Facebook doesn't have, the Google Glass or anything to start doing that, but,
yeah.
I mean, VR, Facebook's business model is just to be with you all the time.
That's true.
And, virtual reality is pretty good at being with you all the time. And especially if virtual reality experiences start being fleshed out to the point where, you're just there as an activity, then that's a really good way of tracking what you do by owning the thing and being able to know, what you look at and what you look at longer.
Exactly.
And what you... So, yeah, it's data mining, probably.
Probably.
But, until then, people were complaining that, Facebook, was starting to fade. Maybe it's not going to be the thing. Invest some money. And $2 billion is a lot of money, but not when you think about it as, a technology for social advancement. It is if you think about, this is how I'm going to play, TF2 and look cool doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not the business model. But also, military research leads to cool things for civilians. So horrible social media research will lead to cool games.
We're right now we're in this state where you either think VR is just going to be another fad or it's going to be the next big thing. And with Sony's recent announcement of Project Morpheus at GDC last week, it's kind of clearly these companies want to make this big push towards VR in some way. We don't know if Project Morpheus is ever going to become a product you can just go into a store and buy, but it's clear that even if nothing comes of this in a few years, that at least companies are willing to try it, and Facebook's hey, we want a part of that.
Yeah, and there's clearly some, patent stuff going on, and, just investing in the talent of the people that know how to do this stuff.
By the way, if I make a bunch of random noises, it's because I'm dying, so...
I don't think they're that random. People are seeing what you're doing.
Well, maybe... Yeah, I guess you're right. Random in the context of the conversation, but yeah.
Sure, yeah. Facebook.
Yeah, I really don't like Facebook.
Well, you actually really don't like Facebook?
Yeah, well, I don't dislike Facebook. I just don't care about Facebook. I just never. I don't have a Facebook account. I probably never will. I just don't. It's fine. Whatever.
You've held out this long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not bothered by it. I think all the people asking for refunds on their donation, people don't understand.
They don't understand what Kickstarter was all about, or what Kickstarter is all about, rather.
Yeah. Whatever. There are people who use Kickstarter as sort of a conditional pre-order.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm okay with. When you're investing in we're going to develop a game for the next couple of years, that's always going to be a risk.
That's true.
When it's we have this thing and then we'll order it, but we need a minimum amount to do it, or we need to rent this recording equipment to record these songs we've already written, or whatever the project is.
Yeah.
That is less of a risk. I have experience with that recently.
Yeah.
It's we need this amount to deal with the printer, so here's the amount.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's zero risk at all. It's just if we get the amount, then we're good. But anyway, no one expects that they're owning a piece of it, that they get like a share of the profits. What? I don't even know what they're thinking there.
I think you're trying to apply logic to the internet.
That's my flaw most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, that's not to say that some of the, I mean, I think most of the reactions regarding the Kickstarter specifically are kind of silly, but that's not to say that the negative reactions overall are unwarranted. It's just I feel like I'm in my position right now as someone who's not super excited about VR but is curious about it. I'm like, whatever happens with this, I don't think it could, I don't think it'll be the worst thing, but
yeah,
I don't like take that position of this is immediately bad, Oculus is doomed, VR is doomed, or I don't know, just Facebook is going to ruin it. I mean, hey, maybe they will. It's possible. They don't have the best track record with some things, but I don't know. This is such a different thing than most of their purchases that I don't see them, kind of taking that same approach. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. Anyway.
I just want to be optimistic. I just want to be optimistic. Optimism is great.
Optimism's okay.
Yeah, it can be good. I guess.
Yeah. Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. But, okay, so, I mean, I don't know. I'll be excited about VR when there's a polished product on the market. Yeah. I think it's interesting that people are doing these things, but, I mean, I'm always focused on the consumer side. When there's a game in which there's an experience you can have that you can't have without VR, and, like, also, you don't have to do any crazy technical work to get it working, and you just plug it up and start playing, then I'll be super excited.
Me too. I want it basically needs that one game, or at least a handful of games that just kind of say this is why this is important.
Yeah.
I don't know why I crashed into that giant ship, but I did.
Because you can.
Yeah, I can. I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Are there any sort of like visual modifications to this game?
I mean, you could change the color scheme and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I can't do it right now. But when I die, how about this? Okay. I will mess around with it next time. I actually, I stick with the default because I think it looks great.
Yeah, I'm just curious what what it can do.
Sure, I will show you once I inevitably die, and within the next, let's say, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially like color schemes and things really look cool on the Vita.
I died
because like Retro City Rampage, when you put those filters on and things, like the one that makes it look like a Game Boy Color screen.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played Retro City Rampage on the Vita? Or you seen it?
I have. That's a game I need to check out one of these days. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
I mean, all the versions have like visual themes, but the Vita version has like special handheld ones. I don't know if that made it to the 3DS. I haven't checked it yet, but like basically it turns every pixel into kind of 4 pixels, so it looks like more pixely. Mm-hmm. Like it looks like an old LCD screen, which is kind of the best.
I'm going to go with this one.
Okay.
Because it hurts my eyes the most.
Okay, well that sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Huh.
Oop,
I do like all the names for the palettes.
Me too. Oh man, random gave me the worst power, the worst weapons. Or at least the one I am worst with.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. God, this is horrible looking.
Yeah.
But it's also amazing.
Yeah.
Those clouds are green.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of difficult. But yeah, so here's something I want to talk about. And,
all right.
We are going to talk about it on the site tomorrow.
Yes.
But, yeah, tomorrow, if you're watching this live, is the 3-year anniversary of the North American launch of the 3DS.
Yeah.
So, that system turned around really quickly. I mean, we talked about this last year, where the first year was really disappointing.
It was.
The second year was fine, and last year it was like...
incredible.
Maybe the best year any system has had in recent memory.
At least the best comeback of any system in recent memory.
But, I mean, just the as far as, like, number of can't-miss kind of games.
I mean, look at all of our finalists for Game of the Year last year. Like,
yeah,
3 of them were 3DS games.
And the game that was like half a point away from beating out our last finalist, which was The Last of Us, was Shin Megami Tensei 4. So it was really, really close to having 4 of the 6 finalists be 3DS games, and that wouldn't have been crazy.
No. And there were probably a couple more that could have made it too if last year wasn't just such a crazy year for games.
Yeah. But yeah, so tomorrow on the site we have a feature where we're kind of looking at like not just like the software. I mean, I feel like everybody does that. Like, here are the best games on the system, and we'll do that later when we have any bit of perspective on that.
Yeah.
We'll do best known forever, maybe next year or so.
Yeah.
But
when the system is eventually winding down, or seems like it might be.
Yeah, but it's. What we're looking at is kind of the features of like the hardware, the things that the 3DS can do that previous system really can't. So we're talking about like how it handles like Street Pass and like the best. We're looking at the best of how all these things are implemented, kind of as a use case for how the system has reached its potential.
In a way, it almost is like, here are some of the best 3DS games, just in the fact that they are the games that use the technology the best.
Yeah, they are the best 3DS games, but they may not be the best games of the 3DS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One thing you'll probably notice is that Animal Crossing shows up a lot.
Yeah.
Because that uses like everything.
It does.
In the system.
And it does it really well.
It does. Well, most of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Jeff does mention that it's also the 3rd anniversary of the release of Ghost Recon Shadow Wars.
A game I still have not played, but will eventually.
It is, I believe, $15 on the eShop right now.
Okay. Is that a sale, or is that
I believe it's a sale. I'm not sure if it was on the eShop before now. But there is like a soft sale right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw that Zombie used this kind of stuff.
You can find like a physical copy of Shadow Wars for probably that.
Yeah,
cheaper.
I would prefer that because I generally try to go physical.
Sure.
But yeah. I am planning on checking it out. Just when I first got my 3DS, it was just a couple months after Fire Emblem. I'm like, I'm gonna pick up any strategy game. That's gonna be the one.
Yeah.
And after that, it's kind of was just like, I need a break from strategy games. I played this for 40 plus hours. But it's definitely on my list.
Did you ever play the Devil Survivor games?
I need to get that's the other one. I need to get
because I gotta tell you, like, whatever. Fire Emblem Awakening is magnificent.
Yeah.
Ghost Recon Shadow Wars is really good. A close runner-up to Shadow Wars is Devil Survivor Overclocked. Which, I mean, whatever, it's not that different from the DS game, but
no, but if you're gonna get it, you might as well get that version.
Yeah, and we never got the Break Record, the 3DS remake of Devil Survivor 2,
which is a disappointment.
But again, it's kind of irrelevant. You can just play that game. It doesn't use the 3D in interesting ways, but either way, that game's really good. I know you like Shin Megami Tensei. So.
I do. It's actually, that's probably like I've played pretty much every US release except for that one, and this is cool. Mostly just because, I mean, generally speaking, strategy games aren't my thing. But
did you ever play Revelations Demon Slayer on the Game Boy Color?
I did.
Okay.
That game was weird.
Yeah.
It was okay. I remember liking it as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I also played the Demi Kids, which came out before I even knew Shin Megami Tensei was really a thing. I just kind of like, this thing looks weird. I should play it.
Yeah, I really I want to play that, so I ordered it on eBay. And when I got it, I put it in the system, and it was instead like a licensed game from a Canadian cartoon. But it had like the official Demi Kids. Like somebody like took apart a Demi Kids cartridge and put something else in it. I guess I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, but eventually I'll get one that's actually it.
Yeah, there are 2 versions too. So hey.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But speaking of handheld games, there's one more thing I want to talk about.
Sure thing.
And So today the launch lineups for the Wii U GBA Virtual Console have been announced.
It's a pretty good lineup.
At least the first week really makes sense. Because, okay, so the 3 games are Advance Wars, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, and Metroid Fusion.
Fantastic games.
And, like, as I was saying earlier, those are the 3 games I would launch the system with myself. I know it's not announced for the US yet, but it is announced for Japan, so we're probably getting it. Minish Cap is definitely on the list of ones to put on. I mean, it's one of those things where if things were spiritual sequels to Super Nintendo games, they probably would be pretty good.
Exactly.
On the Wii U Virtual Console, so...
how do you feel
especially
about
something like Advance Wars? But...
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask, how do you feel about those games coming to Wii U instead of 3DS? I feel like that's been a huge topic of conversation ever since.
I'm okay with it. I mean, like everyone, I kind of wish that it would, have a cross-buy or anything like that. But
yeah,
to me, like playing it on the GBA, like I still have my GBA.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've already experienced it on the go, and it, if you can like up-res it crisply and present it a little better than the Game Boy player does, then the Wii U's great. Also, like experiencing those in kind of a different way is pretty good.
Yeah. Especially
since they're basically widescreen already. So they look kind of better than like Super Nintendo games.
Exactly.
I guess that's how I feel about it.
I mean, hey, I've come to realize that this is kind of my stance on handheld games in general, but with GBA games, after the Game Boy player came out, I came to realize that I just want to play all these things on a TV now. I don't really even want to play them on a Game Boy, so I'm okay with it.
you don't like handhelds.
Of course I hate them. They're terrible.
If there's any time to turn handheld games into non-handheld games.
Hey, yeah, and DS games are eventually making their way to the Virtual Console.
I feel like that's going to be sketchier.
Yeah, true, but
and again, one of those things where, like, as soon as the one's actually, like, released, then we'll talk about it, But I don't want to ignore the fact that the GBA thing's happening, because that's good.
I agree.
Also, I'm glad that they're launching with things that aren't necessarily, well, again, the second and third weeks, they're getting into stuff like, oh, well, look, it's Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, Yoshi's Island.
It's Kirby and the Amazing Mirror,
F-Zero,
which is not a bad game.
Everyone's favorite F-Zero, of course.
Yeah. But, like, it would be a smart thing for them to do to put stuff that had less exposure. Like, if they do put, like, F-Zero GP Legend on there instead, right?
Yeah. Which I'm sure they will do eventually.
Because, I mean, that game has a robust single-player component. Like, what were they doing putting that, like... I feel like it would work better on a home system.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, I do think the most no-brainer move is to put Advance Wars on there, especially if you can, like, pass and play with people.
Man, you know what? I don't currently own... This is a depressing fact about me, but I currently do not own a single Advance Wars game right now.
Okay, well...
So, you know what?
I'm gonna buy. Just get it. It's like $8.
I'm gonna get it on Virtual Console. Because I've been thinking about Advance Wars a lot lately for whatever reason. Mostly because it's awesome, but
like next episode, if we don't have anything else to stream, you can play some Advance Wars.
You know what? I would love to play some Advance Wars.
That might be the way to go.
You know what? Let's do it.
Okay.
Make it happen.
All right.
Unless for some reason it doesn't happen, that would probably be what happens.
Yeah.
So look forward to that, folks.
If I ever get my streaming equipment working, I'll show you guys some Super Famicom Wars. I have that on my Japanese Wii U Virtual Console. That's the thing is, Japan has done such a great job with its Virtual Console.
Yeah, shame that's not really
even
the
the
case
Wii U
here.
doesn't have like a crazy amount on it yet. But like the things it launched with, like it immediately, the first thing it did is it put all of the games that were only available like on the Nintendo Power cartridges after like the end of the life of the console.
Mm-hmm.
So like you had like Kirby Star Stacker and like Fire Emblem Thracia 776 and like all this stuff. Even if you're Japanese, you probably missed it.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to do. The GBA, I think they should do something similar.
I agree.
Or even maybe put some imports on there. Like, what if they give everybody Kudu Kudu Kudurin?
Yeah,
right?
Why not?
That game, the first game did come out in Europe, so there's like an English language, you know. And then the second game, it just doesn't have an English language logo, but then the whole thing is that it's just like a score, and it has the English word score above it in the corner. So like,
I will never say no to import games on
yeah.
release here in any form. So let's make
like
that.
I don't think they're gonna localize Mother 3 or anything.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that's what people want them to do. But I do think it's a great way to, if something's rare or something's hard to find, I think it would be a really good way to let people play it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just, yeah. I hope, because I feel like we saw a very very small taste of that with the Wii Virtual Console and stuff like Sin and Punishment, but. Now that the Wii U's getting GBA games and eventually DS games, and they still have a bunch of. I'm sure they still have a bunch of. Well, I don't think so. They have a bunch of NES and Super Nintendo stuff that never released. They do.
They really need to release some of that stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, there's all that potential there. So.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. Let me ask you this: what GBA game do you most want released on the Wii Virtual Console?
Okay, that is an easy answer, actually. It's Astro Boy the Omega Factor, which, I don't know if that'll happen because it's not a Nintendo game, but...
Right.
That game is my favorite GBA game, and I would love for more people to play it, because I talk to people all the time, like, about treasure games and stuff, and, I think, man, that is one of my favorite treasure games, and it'd be great if that game had some kind of re-release. Because it's not, I don't think it's the cheapest thing to find these days. I haven't looked into it.
I mean, if you can find it, it's cheap, it's just hard to find. It's one of those things where people want it, but people aren't aware of the value, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to see that. In terms of, Nintendo stuff, I would have said Yoshi's Island, but we're getting that because we never got the Super Nintendo version of Yoshi's Island on Virtual Console, so I'm glad I'll finally be able to play that again.
They were never satisfied with the emulation of the chips and that. But interestingly enough, we did get Super Mario RPG, and that also has some chips that are difficult to deal with.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like everything that I want to save for Nintendo stuff is eventually going to come. Like, hey, we're getting Advance Wars 1. How about Advance Wars 2? How about fight the original Fire Emblem, which is the original for us anyway, is coming out, which is coming out in Japan on the Virtual Console, isn't it? So we'll probably eventually get that, I think. I think that was announced.
Was it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There were a lot more on the Japanese list because it was 2 months worth.
Yeah.
And I do know that Finish Cap was in that second group. But
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
I don't know.
I feel like with Nintendo stuff, I feel like we will eventually, at least hopefully, get all of it. If we're going to talk about imports, maybe someday we get a version of Mother 3 in English.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
No, but...
When you're talking imports, like an easy import to do would maybe be like Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it was like a 2006 GBA release, and that's why we didn't get it. But I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily think that's likely.
Yeah, probably not. But hey, this is my wish list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what is there any? Are there any Nintendo games that actually came out here on the GBA you think might not ever be re-released that are worth being re-released? I feel like all of them I feel like most of them will, if not all of them, will eventually find their way to Virtual Console, even if it takes a few years.
Okay, so here are the ones I want.
Okay, let me hear it.
The ones that require extra emulation work.
Okay.
Okay. Like Yoshi Topsy Turvy or WarioWare Twisted.
Yeah, right? WarioWare Twisted would be interesting.
Because the gamepad totally has a gyro in there.
Yeah.
All you have to do is map it, right?
Exactly.
But if they could do that, that'd be really cool. Because WarioWare Twisted is actually kind of hard to find.
Yeah, and it's I would say one of the best in the series.
Yeah. So I don't think we're gonna get those. I wouldn't mind if we did, but I don't think we're gonna. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the GBA lineup was pretty straightforward, but then again, that era, Nintendo did a lot of recycling.
That's true.
And I don't really want to play the GBA version of Super Mario 3.
Well, you probably will. Well,
I will. Here's the thing. I actually do want to play the GBA version of Super Mario 3, but I don't want a Wii U Virtual Console version of the GBA version of Super Mario 3 because that one probably won't be compatible with the e-reader.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah,
I've never played Luftrausers before. That's a good game, right?
Luftrausers pretty good. That would work emulated, whether it does the drilling rumble or not.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be easier to emulate because it's just like trigger the rumble as opposed to detect the level of tilt in this completely different tilt function.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That is one I don't think a lot of people picked up. So, I mean, clearly the thing that is maybe simultaneously least likely to go on there, and the one they obviously should, is a Pokemon that's on there.
Yeah.
It would be the most obvious thing would probably be like Fire Red.
They haven't released any of those Pokemon games. So.
My theory with the 3DS was always that they were going to get Pokemon Bank up, and then they were going to put an emulated version of a Pokemon game that would interface with it, so you could open Pokemon Bank and then read and then pull out of the game, not have any in-game functions, but you could just parse the boxes in Pokemon Bank and take out stuff.
Exactly.
But I don't know.
Maybe someday.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Someone in the chat mentioned it. What if they put the NES classics, GBA emulated NES games on the Wii console?
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, they're already doing the SNES ports. Just do the pure NES emulation. Just do it. Whatever. Yeah. I don't care.
I mean, I guess the one defense of the releasing the SNES ports is they're
different.
They're different enough. Anyway.
I mean, nominally, they're not themselves running an emulator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so, yeah. But that would be something if they actually did that. That would be. I feel like part of me thinks Nintendo would never do that. That's silly. And the other part of me is like, no, Nintendo's probably going to do that someday, aren't they?
Yep.
Like, just in case you didn't catch it on the NES version on Virtual Console, here's the GBA version of the original Legend of Zelda.
I mean, they did release the Super Mario Brothers Deluxe Game Boy Color thing.
Yeah.
Which does have a couple extra features, but it's mostly like Super Mario Brothers where you can't see as much around you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, they're kind of shameless.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
Release, like Super Mario 64 DS and the Wii U Virtual Console or something. Anyway, enough about that. let's wrap up Nintendo Hour here.
Okay, sure.
Because I've played Yoshi's New Island.
You have, and you overall liked it? Question mark?
Yeah. That's exactly how I describe it. I kind of liked the game. It was not magical in the way that the first one was.
Were you expecting it to be, though?
No, because Yoshi's Island DS was also not magical.
Yeah.
That one tried some things that didn't work. This one tries fewer things, but then again, it tries fewer things.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's going on today. It's kind of unfortunate.
You mentioned that you thought that you as you're playing it, you might think that you don't like the original as much, maybe.
Yeah.
The results, which is kind of depressing, actually.
The part of the game that gets a little tedious is that beating the game is kind of pointless. Like it's so easy to do if you just want to get through the levels that it kind of forces you to, if you're going to play a game, you should collect all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then collecting all the stuff is super hard.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Because, I mean, the thing is, like, it'll be easy enough to get through the level, but then you get to the very end, and there'll be some stupid boss that'll hit you once and make you lose, like, 1 second. on your meters. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, it just like starts making you rely so much on precision that like all the things from the original game you just kind of wear through.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. All the stuff I'm saying, like, it's still a pretty good game.
Better than DS, I take it?
Yes, better than DS. It is not in the league of the original game, but it is better than the DS by like a margin of some kind.
Yeah. That's good at least.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hate Yoshi's Island DS, but I don't know. Maybe my expectations were too high. But I just like the first real sequel. It's like, let's not talk about Yoshi's Story. The first real sequel.
Hey now.
Let's not talk about Yoshi's Story.
Can we talk about Yoshi Topsy Turvy?
I've never actually played that one.
Yoshi Touch and Go?
I have played that one.
Yeah?
That was a thing. Yeah.
Yoshi's Cookie?
I played a little of that.
How about Yoshi?
I played a little of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yoshi's Island DS was like, yeah, this is the first real, Yoshi's Island sequel. And
yep.
I don't know, just that alone was like, man, this is gonna be great. It's more Yoshi's Island. I love Yoshi's Island, and
it was never a franchise, so
yeah,
it's one of those things. I mean, the thing is, the 3DS isn't really starving for platformers.
No, definitely not.
And I feel like this is exactly in the same boat as like New Super Mario Brothers 2. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, this is good. This is fine. I don't know if we needed it, but sure. Like whatever. There'll be a Kirby that'll come out and be pretty good.
There is a Kirby coming out that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of platformers because it's a Nintendo system. There's somehow the 3DS is not as good a platformer system as the Wii U already. It's the one genre that the Wii U's got unlocked.
So far, yeah.
But I mean, whatever. I don't think Wii needs any more platformers. It's done. It's got
no more platformers.
I mean, we're getting Yoshi's Yarn. We're probably going to get some sort of Kirby or something at some point. I would bet.
We will probably get another Mario game.
Yeah,
maybe several. Who knows?
But like whatever. We got Donkey Kong. We got 2.5 Mario games. We got Rayman Legends. Like whatever. There's enough on that system. That's me talking about Yoshi, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So, speaking of follow-ups to possibly one of your favorite games ever, you were playing a game that fits that description for you.
Hey, Ground Zeroes, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Tell me, yeah.
I do. Okay. You know what? I really like Metal Gear, Graham.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Ooh, okay. I got a new color scheme. I need to check this out.
Yep. Let's see it.
It's something. I guess I'll use it.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with it.
Yeah. So Ground Zeroes came out last week. It is a really, really good, if not really, really short evolution of an excellent stealth series, and like it's even if you have problems with the kind of the length of the main mission, and if you think it's not worth the money, that's fine. But if you like Metal Gear at all, you will probably have a lot of fun with this and play it for more than the 2 hours it'll take you to get through just the main mission, because there is a lot of replayability here, which is the big thing that a lot of people, I think a ton of people seem to miss when they talk about the length. They don't take into account that Metal Gear fans love to replay the games and just kind of do as much as they can. It's there are always a bunch of little Easter eggs, a bunch of hidden things that it's just fun to seek out. And Ground Zeroes has more than.
Are they actual Easter eggs?
Yeah, they're. Oh well, no actual Easter eggs.
Okay, because that would be a pretty good game. If it was just this serious stealth action game, and there are little painted eggs everywhere.
That seemed like something that would be in a Metal Gear game, though, to be honest.
Can you do that instead of shooting people?
What? Paint Easter eggs?
No, just look for them.
Look for them? I mean, you could. I don't think you'll find any, but you could. You could look for as many Easter eggs as you want. Just go to that base and just look for Easter eggs.
Okay.
I mean, you have a mission to complete. You know, there are people out there who, when they see you, they will shoot at you. But hey, Easter eggs.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks super nice. It plays really well. I'm actually replaying MGS3 right now just because I felt like it after playing Ground Zeroes. It's like I need to play this game again sometime because I really like it. And it's
playing
so.
The HD version.
What's that?
Playing the HD version.
I am actually.
Okay.
And it's so weird because I was going back from Ground Zeroes to that because that, you know, I'd say MGS 1 through 3 are very much classic Metal Gear in almost every way outside of, you know, MGS 3 has the improved camera and whatnot, but in terms of the fundamentals, they're all very much what you expect from Metal Gear. 4 still has a lot of that, but not kind of started straying away from that with it has this gameplay hook of you can just shoot your way through everything if you really wanted to. It might make things a little more difficult, but stealth isn't, you know, at least in terms of most of the game, you can just kind of like go through it guns blazing, and it plays like a pretty great third-person shooter. But Ground Zeroes definitely kind of embraces that. Sorry, excuse me. Embraces that even more so, and it just feels like a more streamlined, more modern stealth game with all the stuff you might like from Metal Gear. So, it gives you a taste of what to expect from Phantom Pain, both in terms of the story and the gameplay. So I'm super excited about Phantom Pain. I'm glad that Ground Zeroes is out, and it's something to keep you busy until whenever Phantom Pain goes out, which might not be until 2015. Who knows?
Right, but definitely say it makes it a lot easier to enjoy this game to know that Phantom Pain is coming and this isn't the main event.
Yes. I mean, I think actually some people I talked to about it have kind of said one of the big problems with it was the fact that it's called Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, and that people who aren't, you know, actively following the fact that there are two separate games and just like see like Metal Gear enough, but aren't like, you know, super into keeping up with the development and whatnot, just walk into a store and say, "Oh, Metal Gear Solid 5, awesome! It's been a while since the last one," and they pick that up, and then the credits roll in 2 hours, and you're like, "Oh." And it also ends with "to be continued" and the Phantom Pain, and it's like, I don't what did I just spend $30 on? I don't know. So I guess I could get that because originally it was just called Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. I think that was a better. I mean, again, I can't say for sure. Most of the people I talk to about it, you know, have the experience with the series and also know enough about the fact that it's two different games, and this is just kind of a prologue. It didn't bother them, but, you know, I'd be curious to see how much that affects its reception with more casual
general
fans.
populace.
Yeah, general populace, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Huh.
But it's for what it is, it's really good, and you know, it's, you know, gives me hope that that Phantom Pain will be equally as excellent, if not more so.
Cool. So, is Infamous Second Son longer than 2 hours?
It is, but it's also kind of short, which is funny. Like when I went into Ground Zero, I was like, I know this is going to be a short game, or at least the main mission is going to be short, and then it ended in 2 hours. Like, oh, okay, that's what I expected. With Infamous, like the first two games might take you maybe 30-ish hours, 25 to 30 hours to do everything, and that's not including, you know, playing it again with doing the other like either hero or villain, doing the opposite of what you did the first time through. But with you know, Second Son, it was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to try to complete as much of this as possible, and then I end up completing all of it and finishing the story in about 12-ish hours, maybe 14 at the most. Yeah. So I was really taken aback by that, because I'm used to open world games, especially ones with a lot of like extra content, or at least a lot to do in the open world. Taking a long time to get through all of that. So that was really shocking to me. I was like, oh man, I finished this already. I finished it in a weekend. Like, that's, I mean, That's just crazy to me that I finished it. That I did everything in an open world game in a weekend. I don't know. It's really insane.
Yeah.
But hey, the game itself is really good. Like Ground Zeroes, it's builds on the previous games in some cool ways, and the powers. Like I am a sucker for superpowers in games, especially in open worlds. Just like letting you run around, do whatever you want is fantastic. Give me more of that. Infamous does. And Infamous Second Son does that. So I'm happy with that. I just, my big problem is that it's not only is it kind of short, it's also just there's not a lot of variety. It's just super disappointing because the first two games, despite the fact that you only had essentially one type of power, which is electricity.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different uses for that power, like a lot of different abilities and stuff.
But so what you're saying about Infamous Second Son is that it's a launch window game.
Yeah. It very much is a launch window game, but it's probably the best launch window game.
Sure, but early games like that just aren't expected to be very long.
Yeah, I mean again, I guess I just was
out in bad ways.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe my expectations were too high once again. Like with that, like I expected it to be at least maybe not as long as the first two, but at least like
comparable.
Yeah. And the fact that I was I almost never do everything in open world games either, so I guess it's a good thing that I actually did everything that Infamous Second Son had to offer, but at the same time, it's just kind of disappointing that there wasn't more to it. But I will say I think the game looks absolutely incredible. Probably next to Ground Zero is probably like the first real examples of next gen I've seen, current gen that I've seen ever. Like I feel like those games are like when I look at the launch titles for the PS4, for example, like with Killzone, like these games look nice. Yeah. They look a bit nicer than a PS3 game, but nothing groundbreaking. And while I won't say Infamous is groundbreaking or anything in terms of how it looks, there's a lot of little
the powers. You don't get groundbreaking powers. Exactly.
There are literal groundbreaking powers. Yes, that's true. But just in terms of the way it looks, it's not incredibly different than the first two, but there are a lot of little things that really stand out. Like, for example, in the cutscenes, the faces are really, really good. Like, the eyes, there's emotion in the eyes. Like, whenever you play a game like this where they kind of render these super realistic faces, they always get the eyes wrong. It's always kind of creepy or just something off about it. And Infamous is one of the first games where I play. It's like, man, these look like, I mean, obviously they don't look exactly like actual people, but there's emotion behind these characters. Yeah. And it's really impressive. Just stuff like that. Yeah. So it's nice that we're finally getting to that point where games are going to start taking full advantage, or at least some advantage of this hardware, more so than what you got from launch games. But
so Jeff, one of our writers, is in the chat, and he brings up the point that while you're playing like all of the shortest games released, he has been playing all of the long ones.
Yeah, I've noticed that actually. It's funny how that works.
Yeah, that he picked up, some small market PS3 JRPGs.
Those games
all of which
tend
have
to be really
a
long.
number of hours as a bullet point on the box. So, at least none of them are Disgaea. That one of them's from the Disgaea team, The Witch and the 100 Knight. But it's not, 9,999 levels worth of game. So
that's true.
I guess everything's relative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could probably say that about a lot of games. At least it's not Disgaea.
Well, hey, Disgaea's not the worst thing.
I know.
The first Disgaea you play is kind of great.
I tease.
And then, I don't know, it doesn't end, so you don't need a new one.
Yeah.
So
you're saying that if you make a game that doesn't end, there should probably never be another one of those. Just in general.
But not one without substantial gameplay improvements. The Disgaea series has largely been banking on the fact that people at all care about what's going on in the story, and I can't care at all what's going on in the story of Disgaea game. It's kind of the worst. I don't... Man.
I never liked those games because of the grindiness. But
yeah.
I see the appeal.
I mean, it's not my favorite tactical RPG, but, like, just, like, the first time you get to the, like, figuring out how to, like, run and stack your people to throw them in just the right spot to do just the cool thing to do all the damage, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also not a big strategy RPG guy, as I've told you before, so...
Yeah, well, we'll fix that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How are you gonna fix that?
We'll see.
You want to hear something weird?
It's
actually not that weird. Sure.
Okay. Well,
you could just mute your Skype, mute your sound. I could just talk and you just pretend you're listening.
Yeah. No, seriously, what is it?
So, for whatever reason, right before we kind of had this deluge of new releases over the past couple of weeks, or even just the past month, I'd say, I went back and just popped in the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection.
Okay.
On the Xbox 360, and for whatever reason thought, I want to play the first Shining Force. That game, you know what?
I'm okay with Shining Force. The first one's not.
It's not
too playable.
It does not hold up at all. But man, for whatever reason, after Shining Force 1 and 2. Except for, with the exception of the Fire Emblem series, just about every strategy RPG I played after those two did not click with me at all, including some popular stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics and what have you. But when I go back to Shining Force, I just happy. I'm just happy playing those games, even if they are not that good anymore, especially the first one. I don't know. Yeah. It's mostly nostalgia. I will admit, it's mostly nostalgia. But
I have a thing for Shining Force CD. Is that weird?
You know what? I have not played that one. I know of its incredible voice acting.
I think I like it because of its simplicity, because it's based on the Game Gear games. Because it's 4 chapters, and the first 2 chapters are the first 2 Game Gear games, and then there's 2 more chapters.
Speaking of which, I actually played earlier in the year, I played the one that got released in the US.
Yeah.
On 3DS Virtual Console. That was pretty good. I like what I played of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to, like, know the battle system going in, basically. Yeah. That's the thing about stuff like Fire Emblem now, where it's just like, it's pretty good at explaining what's going on. Mm-hmm. With it, it's just like, wait, where is my cursor? Oh, that person over there is blinking? That means I'm on them? Okay, great. Now, what do I do? What are my options, and what do they do? Yeah, you don't know. Yeah. How strong is this person? I don't know, guess. Exactly. Don't you have the manual? So, yeah, you know.
I kind of would wish that Shining Force would come back. Strategy RPG Shining Force, not those weird action RPGs we got in PS2 and whatnot. Which weren't terrible.
That series took a strange turn. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, I don't know. The first games were Camelot games, so...
Yeah, that's true.
We got some pretty good Camelot games, that just aren't those games.
Yeah.
You know, like the portable Mario Golf games.
Hey, you know what? Mario Golf Advance, I would like that on the Virtual Console. Just to go back to that topic. That's the one. That's the one of those I've played.
Yes, that would be pretty good. I mean, but also, like, Golden Sun is coming to that.
Yeah, that's true.
The one reason I haven't listed that as, like, a thing that's great that they put it on Virtual Console is that specifically, at least that first game was designed to look really good for the time on a GBA screen.
Yeah. You think it's just not gonna hold up at all?
I mean, I've played it on the Game Boy player, and it's not the best. I mean, it's still a really solid RPG. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they're putting it on there. It doesn't fit that, like, Mario and Luigi is basically like a new Paper Mario sort of thing, mold.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Do you think that we will see, just on the topic of strategy RPGs, do you think that we will see a new Fire Emblem within the next, let's say, 2 years? That isn't Fire Emblem Cross SMT? Like a proper new Fire Emblem game?
Within the next 2 years, like, on store shelves in North America within the next 2 years?
Or just out anywhere, I guess, in Japan.
Yes, I do. Because, I mean, Awakening's been out like a year and a half longer there than here. And it was kind of super successful for them there, which is why anytime anybody asks about whether we're getting into Advance Wars, I say probably not, because that was kind of their way of, alternating, because demand for Fire Emblem was going down and they didn't want to oversaturate. But I think at this point it's been long enough to where they really should have another Fire Emblem on the way. And I think they're working on it. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it'll probably show up later this year, in some sort of screenshots or something, Tokyo Game Show.
Just an official announcement.
Yeah, like some screens or something. And then it'll get a Japanese release, like spring next year, and then like maybe we'll get a localization announcement at that E3, and then maybe it'll show up like the next February. So that's my thought on the next Fire Emblem. That said, it could be a Wii U Fire Emblem, but I feel like it probably
That was actually going to be my next question. Do you think we'll ever get another console Fire Emblem game?
I do think we will get another console Fire Emblem game.
You just don't think it'll be the next one?
Well, since the Wii U's not doing great, the 3DS is doing great. The last 3DS game sold really, really well, and Atlas is already doing a crossover game that kind of fits the we need a Fire Emblem game quota for the Wii U. I feel like, the next one will probably be a 3DS game.
Okay. Good to know. I guess one last question about this. Do you think it'll kind of follow the same relationship system that the last game did? Do you think they'll kind of take straight from that, or do you think they'll try something
different? I think people super liked that.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I thought that was
I would guess the next game is either a direct sequel to Awakening,
which would be good,
or a remake of Fire Emblem 4 in the Awakening system. Because 4 was the one that kind of inspired. Yeah, so like using that system to, because they already remade 1 and 2 and 3, they remade 1 with bits of 2, and then they remade the second half of 3, because 3 was a remake of 1 with a second chapter.
Yeah.
So they remade the second half of 3 with the rest of 2. And we never had that game, but basically 4 is the next one, and it's pretty logical, and people really like that one. So I could see that happening.
Okay.
But, I think they've invested too much in the Awakening characters to completely, leave them away. And they're way more popular than, say, Ike was in Ike Got You games.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It could be a thing where they do kind of like the first 2 Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games, where it's the same world, but maybe they go ahead a couple of generations or behind a couple of generations just to get away from the events of Awakening.
I can see that.
That's kind of difficult from a continuity perspective, so they might just be like, alright, here's... they go far enough in a direction so you don't have to worry about, your choices in that game. I doubt they'll do, a save import or anything. They're not that great.
Yeah.
But it's, probably, the grandson of
So they're
same land.
Are they going to do the same, you create your own kind of character? Well, not create. Well, yeah, you kind of do create your own character.
That worked out really well, too. If there's another GBA game, there will be more Street Pass, and they'll probably, you'll probably have your own character.
Yeah, okay.
I doubt they'll be able to celebrate the history of the series as much as happened there. That was the thing where, I don't think they can do DLC for every release again or anything like that.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you played some of that, or maybe all of that DLC. I never really tried any of it.
I didn't play the last batch.
But generally, was it
I played the whole game before I played any of the DLC because the DLC loaded out.
Yeah.
It's fine. A little bit of the DLC makes replaying it playing it on hard mode is not totally unpleasant when you can grind at least a little bit to get new characters and things.
Yeah.
The DLC's not as good as the main game, and the DLC, if you think about it, makes the game worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was fine. I bought it because I wanted to give Nintendo money for Fire Emblem so that they would continue making Fire Emblem, because that's the real, whatever, petitions, anything we write, if they get more money, they're going to make more stuff. If they don't get more money, they're not going to make more stuff.
What?
I know, right? I just love when people have, like, petitions and write-in campaigns. Your campaign should just be to buy a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain this to people, except for just buy all the stuff.
Yeah. Buy stuff. You'll get more
if
stuff.
you want a sequel to the game, like, buy everyone the copy of the game as your gift to them for Christmas or something. Like, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Don't get them to sign the petition. Just say, here, I bought you a copy of this game. Just play it.
Yeah. Like, if anybody thinks Operation Rainfall did anything, like, no, it didn't. It may have raised awareness for the existence of that, so that sales were somewhat better by the time the game came out, but it didn't, you know.
I think, well, at the very least, I think 2 of those 3 games were going to come out eventually anyway.
Yeah, you know what? I think Operation Rainfall may have affected Pandora's Tower.
Yeah, well, I think that and the sales of the last story, specifically.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Do you think we should, think that's enough Luftrausers? Think we should wrap things up here?
Yeah. Anything else to show off in the game, or you think you good?
I think I've showed as much as there is to show. I mean, there isn't much to the game. That's not to say there's not you won't want to keep playing it, but
yeah.
Once you've seen all the basics, you've seen all. Actually, you know what? There is one thing left to show, but it will be very quick. There's an extra mode you unlock once you basically you defeat the game's biggest enemy, which is a blimp, and you unlock this mode called SFMT. I don't know what that stands for. Neither do because there's a trophy that you get called "What does SFMT stand for?" But it's basically just the super hard mode, and through that there are actually new missions to play. But it's ridiculous because it turns this game almost into a bullet hell. So I will show it to you, and I will probably last maybe 20 seconds. I think that's pretty generous, but so we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Yep.
Here we go. There's also the trophy you get. This is outlasting the siren, which is pretty cool. There's a siren that starts, and if you outlast it, you get a little trophy. It's not as hard as it sounds, but
have you done it?
Yes, but once you pretty much as soon as you outlast it, you will probably die immediately, like I just did. So I died.
Yeah, well, that seems pretty difficult.
I'm going to do it one more time.
Okay.
Oops. I accidentally turned down the... I think I just accidentally turned down the regular mode again. Oh well. You know what it's like now, so...
Okay. Alright, well yeah, we can wrap things up for this episode. Next time,
Advance Wars.
Probably Advance Wars. I'm thoroughly okay with this.
Yeah.
Alright, well, thanks for watching.
See you guys.